Hey guys, it's Neffy. Thank you for joining me once again for another session of Christian Black Woke, where we discuss issues related to being Christian, being Black, and or being woke. Today we're going to discuss a piece of evidence used by some Hebrew Israelites to prove that African Americans are neither African nor are they American, but their ancestry is found in the land of Israel. Let's get it.
Greetings. You just heard and saw Nefer Nitty, and before I get into this video, let me first ask that you please include that brilliant young woman in your prayers. She's currently going through some very serious challenges with her health, and you can read about this current part of her journey as well as ways that you might be able to help her on her Facebook page, which I'll link to in the video description. Now, today is May 8th, 2023, and thus it's the third anniversary of the video on your screen, which you just saw a clip from. In that video, Nefer Nitty tackled the topic of the entry for ham in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, which states that quote-unquote Negroes, and I hope you'll forgive the terminology, this is the terminology that the entry uses, but the relevant entry on ham in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary states that that population group does not descend from Ham, the son of Noah. And in that video, Nefer Nitty proposed that the entry should be understood against the backdrop of an incredibly racist and ugly work by Charles Carroll titled, quote, "The Negro a Beast," or "In the Image of God," end quote. And again, forgive the language here, this is there's going to be some unfortunate language in this subject. Now, a little less than 2 weeks after Nefer Nitty put up her video, our friend over at the We Woke Now channel, DrKelly Richardson, put out a response video titled "Zondervan Responds and Debunks Nefer Nitty's Bold Claim." And in the video description, the good doctor put the following, quote, "Zondervan debunks Nefer Nitty's bold claim. I sent an email to Zondervan in regards to not the Negro under the entry for Ham, son of Noah. Nefer Nitty may be setting herself up for legal repercussions. The real question, will she take her video down?" End quote. I'm sure those who are familiar with our friend at the We Woke Now channel finds that somewhat familiar, you know, the hints or even threats of legal repercussions, and also the suggestions that videos should be taken down. But anyway, in the video itself, in the good doctor's video, he had the words "Zondervan responds, no connection," emblazoned on the screen as he played clips of Nefer Nitty presenting her case for understanding the entry on Ham in the Zondervan Dictionary against the backdrop of Charles Carroll's ugly arguments. The good doctor's video attempted to refute the connection which Nefer Nitty was making, and it attempted to refute that by sharing an email from a staff member at Zondervan. Now, the email admitted that the relevant staff member did not know the ham entry author's intention, and perhaps none of us do, to be fair, but that email offered an alternative possibility, which was that perhaps the author intended such within the context of a local flood model, which is to say that the relevant population still descends from Adam, but not necessarily from Noah's sons, or at least the sons which are explicitly mentioned in the Bible. But with that, let's jump straight to the conclusion of the good doctor's video, in which he reads the end of the relevant email, and fair use.
The two different interpretations of the article on Ham by the Black Hebrew Israelites and Nefer are both wrong. They are reading ideas into the article that were not intended to be there and logically are not there.
And then, in an attempt to mock Nefer Nitty, the good doctor posted that viral clip of the former world boxing champion, Rocky Lockridge, crying out in agony. And if I can just segue into a brief comment on that, let me just say that I never liked the popular internet usage of that clip, as I was a fan of Lockridge back in the 80s. I know well that he nearly achieved superstar status, and he would have achieved that had it not been for a couple of razor-thin decisions that, didn't go his way in his fights with all-time greats like Julio Cesar Chavez and Wilfredo Gomez. But more importantly, those familiar with Lockridge know that he was one of the hardest men in the world in the 80s. So, the pain which is required to bring him to that point must have been tremendous. And, that's reason not to mock him. That's reason to feel something for what he was going through. And with that in mind, perhaps the Rhythm Boxing channel's comment on that sad moment is worth showing here.
His anguished wail, a reminder that when tough men cry, they cry hard. Rocky went viral. Boys made fun of him. Men understood.
But getting back to the Good Doctor's video, I just want to play one more super short clip in which he lists one of the primary conclusions that can be drawn from the email which he read in that video. Fair use.
The phrase "not the Negro" has no connection to the book The Negro, a Beast by Charles Carroll.
And when the Good Doctor put out that video, he insinuated that, quote, the lies, deceptive agenda, and lack of research, end quote, had caught up to NeferNitty. And unfortunately, others who reshared that video declared things like that Nephi is done, and unfortunately called her a, quote, lying devil, end quote. I mean, that's really unfortunate. But the general theme of these posts was that the email from Zondervan had crushed NeferNitty's argument in favor of interpreting the Zondervan entry on Ham together with Charles Carroll's horrible book. Well, fast forward to just this past weekend, a couple days shy of the 3rd anniversary of NeferNitty's video. The Good Doctor has a new video about the Zondervan Bible Dictionary's entry on Ham, and I want to play a couple minutes from that show. So we'll pick this up a little bit after the 24-minute mark, and fair use.
Starting with the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary definition of ham, right? This is the dictionary, and I'm sure you guys have this dictionary. And I want to say this dictionary should never be used as a talking point to say that we are the people of the book, because there's not a single reference here that suggests that. Only thing it just says, and here it is, the youngest son of Noah, probably born about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. See, when I read this, I didn't take it from a perspective of this being a compliment. They're just saying that Negroes are not descendants from Ham. That's all they're saying. They're saying we're not descendants from Ham. So I was like, well, let me go to Shem. And I didn't see any entry about our people, about the Negroes. So if the Negroes is not listed under any of Noah's sons, what group does the Negro belong to? That's the question. That's the question. If we are not listed under any of the sons of Noah, then the question is, who are we connected to? Who are they connecting us to? I want to use this as a source. And primarily, we're going to just come out of this book here, because this is going to tell us exactly what they mean when they say not the Negro. Not the Negro. This book, The Negro, a Beast, or In the Image of God, by Chas, or Chas, however you pronounce it, Carroll, in the 1900s.
Okay, did you catch that? The Good Doctor now cites the very same book by Charles Carroll, right? He explicitly says that that book tells you exactly what the Zondervan entry on Ham meant. 3 years after claiming to have demolished NeferNitty's argument, he's now embraced that argument. And with that in mind, here's how I would sum this all up. First, Kelly has now adopted NeferNitty's argument 3 years after claiming to have refuted it. Second, if the email from Zondervan refuted NeferNitty's video, then so too it preemptively refuted Kelly's recent video as well. And finally, third, if, however, that email did not refute either video, then the triumphant boasting from 3 years ago was premature, and the posts that accused NeferNitty of lying were out of line. Now, I personally do not know what the author of that entry on Ham in the Zondervan Dictionary believed, but I can at least say that I see a familiar pattern in how this debate over this topic unfolded. It's a pattern I've seen with the crowd around the Good Doctor over the last 3 years or so, where they initially come fast out the gate, claiming victory and accusing people of lying, yet after a bit more time and careful thought, the boasting gets dampened in one way or another. And so, with this in mind, with this bit of hindsight, perhaps moving forward, these sort of theatrics can be toned down. in future debates. I don't know. But with that, I'll close this video here. As always, I welcome any comments, questions, or criticisms. I don't censor anyone here, so feel free to share your thoughts, whether positive or negative. And God bless.
But she still might be in trouble for a lawsuit. If I was them, I would correct what they were saying. Because right now, based upon the video that she was showing, she's equating Zondervan Publishing with the book dealing with Negro the Beast. And there is no comparison. There is no justification for that comparison. And once again, they showed that they are liars and disingenuous.
I mean, is that saying that they wrote this because they're saying that the Negroes, as she equated it to that book that she made reference to, is because they're saying that we are beasts? That's a lot to to me it's really a stretch. And